Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 8-6 in Algebra 2B. So we're talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing radical expressions. So this whole theme of radicals has kind of been the big theme for this unit. So now we're going to talk about how do we add, subtract, multiply, divide these things. And it's not too dissimilar. It's got a little bit of similarity to algebra, but there are some subtle changes that you're aware of. So number one is this: when you're adding and subtracting radicals, you need to have exactly the same thing when you're adding. Okay, that means same thing underneath raised to the same power. So this I could put together, that's going to be 8 to the third root of 3a. These over here, different underneath the square root. So, and over here, this is raised to different roots. So I cannot do anything with that. These are as simplified as they can be right now. So now, right now you cannot do anything with these, but you can simplify each one of these square roots. So if I take 2 square root of 12, 3 square root of 27, 2 square root of 48. So 2 square root of 4 times square root of 3. So that's 2 times 2 times square root of 3. So that'll be 4 square root of 3. This one will be 3. I can break this apart into 9 and 3. 3 times square root of 3. So that would be 9 square root of 3. Still bring this negative all the way down. Over here, this last piece, this would actually be 16 times 3. So that will be 2 square root of 4 square root of 3. 2 times square root of 3. So that is going to be 4 square root of 3. Now I'm going to add those. So now when I simplify all these, I have 4 square root of 3, 9 square root of 3, 4 square root of 3. So these end up, sorry, don't cancel out, back up. 4 square root of 3 minus 9 square root of 3 plus 4 square root of 3. After all that, I get negative 1 square root of 3, or just put another way, negative square root of 3. That would be a perfectly good simplified answer. So here, number 2, well, 3 square root of 8, that would be 3 square root of 4 square root of 2, 3 times 2 times square root of 2. 32, I get to be square root of 16 times square root of 2. So that's 5 times 4 times 2. So that will be 6 square root of 2 there, plus 20 square root of 2. Now I got this last piece out here, and I'm hoping that you're starting to recognize that I can break some of these apart into simpler things. Square root of 9 is 3, square root of 16 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. So this becomes 12 square root of 2. Then I just bring the sign with it, minus 12 square root of 2. Now I've got the exact same thing underneath the square root. Everything is being rooted by the same root. It's a square root. It's not a third root, fourth root, fifth root. So this would end up being 6 plus 20 minus 12, which would be 14 square root of 2. And it's not too dissimilar than if I said 6x plus 20x minus 12x. Okay, it kind of behaves algebraically that way. It kind of behaves like an algebra problem. Well, this would just be 26x minus 12x, which would be 14x. Kind of behaves the same way, except it's like saying x is equal to square root of 2. So here, multiplying, there's a reason we have you guys set up the boxes as much as we do. This is why, because this is where things can get a little bit tricky, especially if you are not careful. So, filling in the box, this would be 6 square root of 5. Remember, if it's on the outside, you multiply it by the outside. If it's on the inside, you multiply it by the inside, but you can't go both ways, so that's going to be negative 4 square root of 3. This will be 3 square root of 15. This will be negative 2 square root of 9. So I've got 6 square root of 5 minus 4 square root of 3 plus 3 square root of 15 minus 2 times the square root of 9. But I'm really hoping you caught that square root of 9 equals 3. So that's going to be 2 times 3. So a fully simplified answer would be 6 square root of 5 minus 4 square root of 3 plus 3 square root of 15 minus 6. There's my answer. All right, that's not uncommon. That's a pretty common one. You guys should know what you're doing with that. Same idea here, but please notice before we even start that I essentially have the same thing in A and B, except just one different sign. So I want you to notice what happens when I do that. 5 square root of 3 minus 6, 5 square root of 3 plus 6. So in here I end up getting 75, and I'll draw over here kind of why. So I get 5 square root of 3 times 5 square root of 3. And remember the rules. I multiply the outside, I multiply underneath. So that becomes 25 times the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So that is where I get 75. So now here I will get negative 30 square root of 3. Here I will get 30 square root of 3. Here I will get negative 36. So I get 75 minus 30 square root of 3 plus 30 square root of 3 minus 36. So that completely cancels out. I can take 75 minus 36 and I get a final answer of 39. So take a moment and kind of process that. So now division. Division is going to be interesting because I can't have a square root in the denominator, and I cannot just multiply both the top and bottom by square root of 3, because if I do that, I would have to distribute this, and I would get 5 square root of 3 plus 3 on the bottom, and I would get square root of 3 minus 3 on the top. Problem, I've still got a square root in the denominator. So I cannot do that. That does not help me. What I need to do is multiply by your opposite sign. Okay, so what I need to do is kind of like what happened on that previous problem. I'm going to multiply 5 minus square root of 3 to the top and bottom. Okay, now so remember, here's what's going to happen. So when I multiply the bottom, so that'll be 25, 5 root 3, negative 5 root 3, negative 3. That cancels out. 25 minus 3 will be 22. That's okay. I can do that. So now I do the same thing with the top. So that will be 5 minus square root of 3 minus 5 square root of 3 plus 3. Okay? So that'll give me 8 minus 6 square root of 3. There's my answer. I don't care if there's a square root in the top. I can handle that. No square roots are allowed in the bottom. And here, all I did was multiply to get each part. So that is where everything came from. And then here it's negative square root of 3 times negative square root of 3. Negative, negative cancels out. Square root of 9 is 3. There's my answer. So not an easy problem, but you got to realize you've got to take your what we call your conjugate, which is the same terms, just a different sign. So here, it's probably much clearer. 6 square root of 5, 3 minus 2 square root of 5. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate. All right, so on the bottom, $36 6 square root of 5 minus 6 square root of 5 minus 5. So that cancels out. 36 minus 5 is 31. On the top, follow your same rules. So that's going to be 3 minus 2 square root of 5, 6 minus square root of 5, 18 minus 12 square root of 5, minus 3 square root of 5, 2 times 5, which is going to be 10. So my answer becomes 28, because I can put together those two things, minus 15 square root of 5. There's my answer. Right there. That would be how I would divide that. So if I figure out perimeter and area, so perimeter, remember, is how far do you walk? I'm going to add these things. All right, so before I even get anywhere, 3, 6 square root of 2, 3, 6 square root of 2. Square root of 8 would actually be, simplified would be 2 square root of 2. So instead of square root of 8, I'm going to put 2 square root of 2, which I get is going to change my problem. So 3 and 3, that's 6. 6, 2, 6, 2, 6, 7, 8, 14, 15, 16. There's my answer. So, big picture is, at some point, you guys have got to start recognizing things like this that can be simplified. All right, find the hypotenuse of a right triangle with legs 2ab squared, 6ab. So if I've got a right triangle, oops, 6ab squared. So this is Pythagorean theorem, which, you know, is right at the end of Algebra A. So that'll be 6ab squared squared plus 2ab squared squared equals c squared. So this would be 36a squared b to the fourth plus 4a squared b to the fourth equals c squared. So I can put these together. 40 a squared b to the fourth. Notice I did not put together the a squared and the b to the fourth. So then when I square root this thing to figure out what c would equal, again, break this apart. Square root of 40 square root of a squared is easy. Square root of b fourth, slightly tougher, but still not too bad. So my final answer here then for that hypotenuse is going to be 2 square root of 10, and actually I should go 2ab squared square root of 10. There's my answer. All right, play around with this, come talk to me, and have a good day.